You walk into a crowded room convinced that everyone is judging your bad hair day or that tiny coffee stain on your shirt. In reality, psychologists have proven that people are so consumed by their own self-doubts that they barely register yours, meaning the spotlight you feel is entirely in your own head. Realizing this is the ultimate social superpower. Once you accept that nobody is actually watching, you are finally free to just be yourself. Your brain is hardwired to despise loose ends, which is why that half-finished report or interrupted movie haunts your thoughts. This mental itch is called the Zeigarnik Effect, a quirk of memory that keeps unfinished tasks active in your subconscious while erasing completed ones. Once you finally finish the task, your brain gets a rush of relief and instantly deletes the mental reminder. Have you ever noticed a slang word or phrase for the first time and assumed it was just invented, only to discover it has actually been around for decades? This is the recency illusion, a cognitive glitch where your brain mistakes your own new awareness of a word for its actual birth in the language. Once you notice it, your selective attention kicks in, making the term suddenly seem to appear everywhere in a bizarre, overnight craze. Imagine living in a world where the present moment lasts only a few seconds before resetting forever. This is the reality of anterograde amnesia, a condition where the brain can vividly recall childhood memories but loses the physical ability to write new ones to its hard drive. Because the hippocampus is damaged, every conversation, new face, and life event evaporates. The instant focus shifts, leaving the person eternally trapped in the exact moment their trauma occurred. Imagine a bell curve where the peak represents your absolute sharpest mental state. The Yerkes-Dodson law proves that while too much panic freezes your brain, a moderate amount of stress actually floods your mind with hormones that lock in memories. To ace your next big moment, you don't need total calm, you just need to channel that nervous adrenaline into hyperfocus. But you can hack this limitation by using the Pegword Method to anchor new information to a rhyming mental map. Like imagining your grocery list item of butter melting all over a giant wonton, you create an instant, unforgettable association. This simple trick exploits our highly evolved spatial memory, turning abstract data into vivid mental pictures that your brain simply cannot forget. Your memory isn't a perfect video archive, it is actually more like a Wikipedia page that anyone can edit. If someone casually mentions a stop sign after you watch the event to include, known as the Misinformation Effect, proves that merely asking a leading question can permanently alter your real-life memories without you ever realizing it. Have you ever been accused of stealing an idea, only to be utterly convinced that you came up with it yourself? This is cryptomnesia, a fascinating glitch in our brain's filing system where a forgotten memory resurfaces, but your mind mistakes it for a brand new, original thought. It reveals that our subconscious is constantly hoarding information, meaning your next genius breakthrough might actually just be a deeply buried echo of someone else's work. We don't evaluate our memories by adding up the entire experience, but rather by averaging the emotional peak and the very end of the event. This means a brilliant 2-week vacation can be completely ruined in your mind by a single flight delay on the way home. Your brain essentially ignores the total duration of an event, prioritizing the final impression above all else. Imagine a sea of identical black umbrellas on a rainy day, except for one bright, neon pink parasol bouncing through the crowd. Your brain instantly locks onto that single oddball because of the von Riestorff effect, which proves that humans are hardwired to notice and remember whatever stands out from its surroundings. By simply making one key detail bizarre, colorful, or out of place, you can permanently anchor it in someone's memory. Have you ever sat in a meeting or a classroom circle, completely forgot what the person right before you said, and blamed it on a bad memory? This is actually the next inline effect, a cognitive glitch where your brain is so busy rehearsing your own upcoming speech that it temporarily stops recording external information. Instead of listening, your mind blocks out the immediate past to focus entirely on your own performance, leaving a literal blank space in your memory of those crucial moments. If you repeat the word window 50 times, it suddenly transforms into a bizarre, meaningless sequence of sounds. This psychological glitch is called semantic satiation, and it happens because your brain's neural pathways get so fatigued by the repetition that they temporarily stop connecting the sound of the word to its actual definition. Essentially, your mind gets bored of the constant stimulation and briefly forgets how to read, turning familiar language into an alien tongue. Would you choose a medical treatment with a 90% survival rate, or one with a 10% mortality rate? Even though the math is identical, our brains instinctively fear the second option because of the framing effect, which proves we make decisions based on how information is presented rather than the actual facts. By simply shifting the focus from gains to losses, marketers and politicians can completely hijack your choices without you ever realizing it. Have you ever been absolutely certain of a random trivia fact, but had absolutely no clue where you actually learned it? This is a bizarre glitch in our brains called source amnesia, where our memory safely stores the raw data but completely deletes the context of how we acquired it. It is the exact reason we often mistake a dream, a movie scene, or even a friend's lie for our own real-life memories. Your brain has outsourced its memory to the internet, a phenomenon scientists call the Google effect, where we instantly forget information we know we can easily look up online. Instead of storing the actual facts, our minds adaptively save energy by only remembering where to walking how the human mind processes reality. When you are sweating through a nervous presentation, you probably feel like everyone in the room can see your heart pounding through your chest. But thanks to a cognitive bias called the illusion of transparency, observers actually perceive only a fraction of the internal chaos you are experiencing. This means your private panic remains largely invisible to the outside world, so you look far more confident and composed than you feel. That buyer's remorse you felt after splurging on an overpriced, useless gadget didn't actually last very long, did it? Your brain quickly deployed the choice-supportive bias, a cognitive trick that retroactively distorts your memory to make your past decisions look incredibly smart. To protect your ego, your mind actively highlights the product's minor perks while completely erasing its glaring flaws, proving we would rather lie to ourselves than admit we made a bad purchase. When you see a regular price crossed out next to a sale price, your brain is being secretly hijacked by the anchoring effect. This cognitive bias forces your mind to latch onto the very first number it sees, using it as a permanent mental anchor to judge the value of everything that follows. Because of this, a $80 shirt suddenly feels like an absolute steal just because you saw a fake $300 price tag first. Imagine if someone read you a list of words like bed, awake, and tired, and your brain absolutely insisted. You also heard the word sleep. This is the Dies-Roediger-McDermott paradigm, a famous psychological trick showing that our minds don't record reality like a video camera, but instead autofill the gaps with logical guesses. In seconds, your brain can construct a completely false memory that feels 100% real, proving just how easily our own minds can lie to us. If you want people to like you more, try being slightly less than perfect. The pratfall effect reveals that highly competent individuals become instantly more relatable and attractive when they make a minor, clumsy mistake. This occurs because our brains find flawless people intimidating, whereas a small slip-up humanizes them and bridges the social gap. By embracing your occasional blunders, you actually become far more magnetic and memorable to those around you. Your brain remembers information far better when you actively produce it yourself rather than just reading it off a page. By quizzing yourself or writing summaries from memory, you force your neural pathways to strengthen, making the knowledge stick long-term. To truly master any new skill, stop highlight reading and start testing yourself immediately. If you meet a man named Mr. Baker, your brain will struggle to remember his name, but if you are told he is a baker, you will recall his job with ease. This occurs because our brains store occupations within a rich, interconnected web of mental associations like flour, ovens, and aprons, whereas a surname is just an isolated, meaningless word. By attaching no mental hooks to your memory, names slip away instantly, proving that the human brain prioritizes meaning over mere labels. Have you ever walked into a room only to completely forget what you went in there for? This frustrating phenomenon is called the boundary effect, which occurs because your brain treats physical doorways as mental blockades that file away your old thoughts to prepare for a new environment. To jog your memory, you simply need to walk back into the original room, instantly retrieving those lost thoughts by restoring the physical context. Imagine possessing a brain that records your entire life in high definition, leaving you unable to forget a single detail. While having a photographic memory sounds like a superpower, people with hyperthymetic syndrome actually experience it as an exhausting curse. They are constantly bombarded by decades of random past memories, making it nearly impossible to quiet their minds and live in the present moment. When you sleep, your brain doesn't just store memories, it actively performs emotional triage by stripping away the painful gut punch of a trauma while keeping the useful facts intact. This mental restructuring process means you can wake up remembering exactly what happened during a devastating breakup or failure, but without the agonizing chest-tightening ache that accompanied it yesterday. Essentially, sleep acts as a free, overnight therapy session that chemically softens your painful past so you can face tomorrow. Have you ever watched a major sporting event or a shocking election and thought, I knew that was going to happen all along? This is hindsight bias, a psychological trick where your brain actually rewrites your past memories to match new information after you learn the outcome. It makes us feel incredibly smart, but it also stops us from learning from our actual mistakes because we trick ourselves into believing we are mind-reading geniuses. Every time you replay a past conversation, your brain subtly alters the memory to make you look smarter, funnier, and more central to the event than you actually were. This phenomenon, known as the egocentric bias, occurs because your brain is wired to process the entire world through your personal lens, naturally casting you as the protagonist of reality. In truth, while you are agonizing over a minor social blunder you made yesterday, the other people involved have likely already forgotten it entirely. During a high-stress crisis, your brain's survival instinct kicks in and forces your vision to tunnel vision onto the perceived threat, like a gun or a knife. This intense hyperfocus, known as the weapon focus effect, means your brain completely fails to register other critical details like the attacker's face, clothing, or escape route. It is a fascinating evolutionary design that prioritizes immediate survival over memory making, proving that trauma literally changes how we perceive reality. If you look back on your life, your memories from ages 15 to 25 are likely the most vivid. This phenomenon, known as the reminiscence bump, happens because your brain's memory encoding chemistry peaks during these years of intense identity-defining firsts. Essentially, you remember your youth so clearly not because life was better then, but because your adult brain is still using those early milestones as its emotional baseline. If you want someone to remember what you say, stop writing and start drawing. Our brains are hardwired to process visual stimuli instantly, meaning you are up to 6 times more likely to remember a piece of information 3 days later if it is because our ancestors survived by recognizing treats words as boring, abstract symbols but treats pictures as real life. As we age, a fascinating shift occurs in the brain's amygdala that causes it to naturally ignore negativity and focus almost entirely on the good. This positivity effect means older adults actively process positive memories much faster than bad ones, acting as a built-in emotional shield. Ultimately, our brains are wired to become happier, calmer, and more optimistic the older we get. Your brain is a masterful storyteller, but it often plagiarizes details from completely different events to fill in the gaps of your past. When you recall a specific memory, your mind acts from surrounding days, stitching them. This means some of your most vivid, cherished memories are actually mental collages of events that never actually happened together. When you are feeling down, your brain actually locks you out of your happiest memories and forces you to play a mental highlight reel of your past failures. This happens because of mood-congruent memory, a cognitive glitch where your current emotional state acts as a search filter, retrieving only the memories that match your exact level of sadness. Essentially, your brain isn't just remembering the past, it is actively rewriting your personal history to justify your bad mood. Have you ever realized that a piece of fake news you dismissed weeks ago suddenly feels like absolute truth today? This is the sleeper effect, a psychological glitch where your brain remembers a sensational rumor but completely forgets that the source was totally unreliable. Over time, the warning label fades away, leaving behind a false belief that your mind now accepts as a solid, undeniable fact. Did you know that describing a suspect's face to the police can actually erase that face from your memory? This bizarre glitch is called verbal overshadowing, and it happens because your brain's language centers override your visual memory, replacing the rich, mental picture of a face with your own clumsy, spoken description. By trying to put features into words, you accidentally overwrite the original memory, making you less likely to recognize the person in a lineup. Your brain possesses a fleeting superpower called sensory memory that captures every sight, sound, and touch in ultra-high definition, only to erase it in less than a single second. This rapid decay is a vital survival filter, preventing your conscious mind from being overwhelmed by the constant barrage of useless background data. Essentially, your mind is constantly taking infinite snapshots of reality and immediately throwing them away just to keep you sane. Have you ever come up with what felt like a brilliant, original idea, only to realize later that you actually stole it? This is cryptomnesia, a fascinating glitch where your brain resurrects a forgotten memory of someone else's work but misfiles it as your own brand new creation. From musicians accidentally plagiarizing melodies to writers copying old books, our minds constantly mistake old information for fresh inspiration without us ever realizing we are copying. When you witness an event, your brain doesn't record it like a video camera, instead, it uses mental shortcuts called schemas to fill in the blanks based on your pre-existing stereotypes. This means if you see a messy room, your memory might actually manufacture a teenager in the scene, rewriting your history to fit your expectations. Ultimately, your brain prefers a neat, stereotyped story over the messy truth, meaning much of what you remember is actually just your prejudices in disguise. We naturally assume that our personal beliefs, quirks, and moral choices are shared by the vast majority of society. In reality, this bias tricks us into grossly overestimating how many people actually agree with us on everything from politics to music. We project our own minds onto the world because our social circles act as an echo chamber, shielding us from how wonderfully diverse human opinion truly is. Cramming for an exam actually triggers a brain mechanism that treats rapidly repeated information as useless spam, actively erasing it from your long-term memory. By spacing your study sessions over several days, you trick your brain into flagged survival mode, strengthening the neural pathways so you retain double the information with half the effort. This simple timing tweak is why elite performers prioritize consistent intervals over desperate, all-night marathons. Ever wonder why you can't remember your old password right after creating a new one? This is retroactive interference, a glitch where your brain literally overwrites old memories with fresh data to save mental bandwidth. Like writing new text over a faded page, your latest experiences physically disrupt and scramble the neural pathways of your past. If you want to memorize a random list of words, stop repeating them and start making them about yourself. Our brains are naturally self-obsessed, meaning we encode information much deeper when we link it to our own identity, memories, or experiences. This is why you easily forget a stranger's name, but will instantly remember a complex medical condition if a doctor tells you that you might have it. Have you ever remembered the exact moral of a story but completely forgotten the characters' names? This is because of gist trace theory, which explains that our brains automatically split every experience into two memories, the precise details, and the overall emotional meaning. While the fragile details fade almost instantly, your brain holds onto the gist forever, proving that your memory is designed for survival, not accuracy. When police ask eyewitnesses, "Did you see the broken headlight?" instead of "Did you see a broken headlight?" that single word that acts like a Trojan horse in the brain, planting a fake memory of damage that never actually existed. Our minds are so fragile that a subtly leading question can permanently rewrite our recollection of an event, causing us to confidently swear to visual details we only saw because of a lawyer's phrasing. This terrifying glitch, known as the misinformation effect, proves that memory is not a reliable video recording but a fragile puzzle we accidentally you look at seamlessly invents the world just outside the frame. This bizarre cognitive glitch, known as boundary extension, occurs because your memory is constantly trying to predict and construct a complete 3D scene of your surroundings. When asked to draw the image from memory later, people will consistently sketch a wider shot, confidently remembering background details that never actually existed. In the photo. Have you ever wondered why your childhood vacations feel like pure magic, even though you spent half the time carsick and arguing with your siblings? This is rosy retrospection, a cognitive bias where our brains actively prune away past stress, boredom, and minor annoyances, leaving behind a highly curated, golden highlight reel. Shields you from but eternally nostalgic for a past that never actually existed. If you try to actively force yourself to forget a specific memory, your brain actually does the exact opposite by supercharging it. By triggering the directed forgetting mechanism, your conscious effort to erase a thought acts like a mental spotlight, reinforcing the neural pathways and burning the memory deeper into your mind. This means the ultimate psychological hack to truly move on is not active suppression, but total, passive distraction. Our prehistoric ancestors survived by memorizing exactly where the predators hid, and your brain still uses that ancient survival software today. When you process information through the lens of life or death survival, your memory locks it down with near-perfect, permanent recall. This means you will forget your grocery list in minutes, but you will vividly remember a perceived threat for the rest of your life.